It's Thursday, July 23rd, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. A hurricane watch is now in effect for Barbados as Gonzalo storms towards the southern Windward Islands. According to the Barbados Met Service, sustained storm force winds are expected to spread across Barbados early Saturday and increase to hurricane force by Saturday afternoon. During that time, sustained 50 to 75 mile per hour winds with higher gusts are expected to affect the island. The system is also expected to generate rough to very rough sea swells and flash flooding in the coming days. In her address to the nation last night, Prime Minister Mia Mottley urged residents to be prepared for the coming storm. She said the Ministry of Public Works and other ministries spent yesterday doing the assessments and making adjustments. Prime Minister Mottley said instead of cabinet meeting this morning, those agencies will meet again to discuss Gonzalo.
In every house, we know what? Be prepared rather than be sorry. And I ask you, therefore, without panic, to be able to ensure that you are ready for this storm, because no storm is a good storm.
Timely and merited. That's how political scientist Peter Wickham has described Prime Minister Mia Mottley's reshuffle of her cabinet. In one of her biggest moves since being elected to office just over 2 years ago, Mottley yesterday announced a new look cabinet, trimming it by 2 ministers and 1 parliamentary secretary. Speaking to Barbados Today moments after the announcement, Wickham said he was in full agreement with the changes.
I like it. I like it for 2 reasons. I think one, it sends a signal that she is concerned about issues of economy at this time, and I think coming out of COVID is quite appropriate that she should respond in this way. And I do think it is merited because we are approaching the halfway point. This would be the good time to make changes, to retool, to ensure that everything is working as well as it should towards the end of the season, the end of the political life of the first government. So for that reason, I think the timing is perfect. This is the time to make those kinds of changes. And presumably, if she settles down for another 3 years, then there will be no need for any further changes coming on to the end.
The political scientist also commented on Kerry Simmons's new post as Minister of Energy, Small Business and Entrepreneurship, and the elevation of Senator Lisa Cummins to Minister of Tourism and International Transport.
Yeah, the fact that she has included Lisa Cummins in tourism suggests that she has a high level of confidence in her. Kerry Simmons has gone over to energy. Energy is not a particularly bad place to be. There's some technical changes that have to be made regarding energy now that are of a legal nature. We had heard that there's supposed to be a whole new set of energy efficient kinds of regulations that are supposed to be put in place. Perhaps she believes that with his legal training, he may be a better asset to the energy ministry now, while Lisa Cummins, with her background certainly in the port and having done very well during COVID, should be rewarded and given the Ministry of Tourism in which she can grow some.
Days after businesses were warned about possible action being taken against them for ignoring the COVID-19 protocols, former Minister of Small Business, Entrepreneurship and Commerce, Dwight Sutherland, pleaded with those entities to follow government's directives. Sutherland made the call yesterday during a visit to 2 small businesses in St. George, 2 days after COVID-19 Czar Richard Carter delivered a final warning to those businesses which he said were continuing to flout the law.
We are not out of the woods yet as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic. As we open our borders, flights are coming in, and I will urge persons to take the necessary precautions. Adhere to the mask, the washing of the hands. You see, we came here, I've taken off my mask just to do the interview, but adhering to the protocols, because we have families, we have persons that we interact with, we have our children, we go into our homes, we go into our offices, and if we truly want to see Barbados return to some level of respectability, then we have to, and we should adhere to the protocols that have been put in place. And it's good for commerce. It's good for commerce. Having a safe place to operate in where persons adhering to the protocols, that's how business will remain reopened. The day that one employee contracts that virus, then we see business then beginning to lay off persons. So if you really care for your brother, if you really care for returning some respectability to the employment levels in this country, then you would adhere to the protocols. I will advise you to. And as Minister of Commerce, I will urge all businesses, whether small, medium, or micro or large, to adhere to the protocols.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors now, Trinidad and Tobago recorded a local case of COVID-19 after almost 3 months. Investigations are now underway into the matter. More in this report from TV6 News.
It is a concerning development, generally speaking. As I said, we have been over 80 days without any sort of case of this nature. The last one we would have had similar to this was 116, where we had a person mingling in that regard. So, as we have said from day one, the public health measures are still relevant and extremely important.
The case, number 139, is said to have been symptomatic for more than a week, but continued to move about and function as normal.
In the household itself, there would have been upwards of 8 persons visiting or residing in that particular household. So those persons who visit or live in that household become primary contacts of the case. We will continue to track and have persons in self-quarantine, home quarantine, until we can test everyone to try to ring-fence this particular incident so that it doesn't spread.
One of these contacts is said to have visited a number of establishments, leading to the temporary closure of commercial establishments today for sanitation purposes.
And finally, on the international scene, the U.S. has ordered China to close its consulate in Houston, Texas by Friday. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the decision was taken because China was, quote, stealing, unquote, intellectual property. More in this report from NBC News.
A dramatic escalation of tensions between China and the U.S. The Trump administration ordering the closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston, where fire trucks could be seen overnight, amid reports of smoke billowing from the building. New video this morning has emerged of consulate employees possibly burning documents. They've been given till Friday to clear out. It's unclear just what prompted the order from Washington. The State Department saying only it would not tolerate China's violations of our sovereignty and intimidation of our people, adding that it had ordered the closure to protect American intellectual property and Americans' private information. China's foreign ministry called the move an unprecedented escalation and promised to respond with firm countermeasures if the decision wasn't reversed.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.